I'll be the first to admit, when I first saw this floor plan on paper, I didn't quite get it. It just sort of looked like a floor plan they already made. But now that I got here in person and I see this, what I realize is they took everything that you like about a Brinkley RV and they kind of just gave you more of it. It's actually really cool. Welcome everybody, Josh the RV Nerd of Bish's RV back down here at Brinkley, taking a look at this new 3600. Like I said, when the floor plan first came out, I looked at this and said, this is just a Brinkley 3100 with a little bit bigger bathroom. And on paper, you know, it was hard to understand the difference on this. But when I saw this thing in person, I realized that it's not just another version of the same old thing. It's about 4 feet bigger than the 3100. You'll pretty much still need the exact same tow vehicle to tote it around, but this gives you a little bit more expansion everywhere. It's a little bit closer to a full profile living room. It actually is a little bit taller back in the living area. So you're getting, you know, just the general sense of more space and more comfort there. The bathroom is the one thing that's very obviously new to this floor plan in the Brinkley family. But in typical Brinkley fashion, they always nail the details better than almost anyone else. First of all, let's start again with their 79.5-inch upper deck clearance. So if you're a little over 6 foot like me, that means that you have headroom to spare, even when I'm wearing shoes in the shower, which I don't recommend you do. But it's a double sink bathroom. And a lot of people go, I have absolutely no use for 2 sinks in a bathroom. And Brinkley's aware of that, and they listen to that. And not only is it solid surface countertops throughout, even in the bathroom, but they actually gave you a flush mount sink cover for one of the bathroom sinks. So if you just want massive expanded counter space, you have that available. The bedroom is also a little bit bigger, and the easiest way to discern that is when you get the optional king bed, you still have side stands in the bed slide. And if you go with the queen bed, the side stands double in size, and you can actually have CPAP friendliness in a bed slide, which almost no fifth wheel does. Now, I haven't even touched on all the little Brinkley differences. I've only talked about where this floor plan is a little bit different from the 3100. So buckle up, pop the popcorn. We have a lot to cover. And if you appreciate how we share the good, the bad, the ugly with everything between and break it down in a way that's easier to digest, like a bird feeding its fledglings, I got to work on that. I'll work that out of my own time. Hit the subscribe button and we'll catch you in the next time. But for now, let's go. Boy, this ended wonderfully. This ended the way every AC/DC song ends. We're just and again, when I first saw this on paper, I'll tell you guys, I kind of rolled my eyes. I'm like, listen, I enjoy Brinkley RVs. I like the people. I like your culture. I like what you do. But how many times can we remake the same floor plan? But then I got in this thing and I immediately went, whoa, what's going on here? This feels more like a high profile fifth wheel. And the difference between what is mid-pro and what is high pro is not what it used to be. But generally speaking, in today's world, a mid-profile fifth wheel tapers down very heavily in the living room area down from the upper deck. And this does still do that a little bit, but not as much as something like the Model Z 3100. You're going to hear me relate this to the 3100 a number of times in this video, because I think that's the most similar floor plan that people would compare against. That's what I was doing. Maybe I'm wrong or crazy. I would estimate you might be doing the same here, because they have a very, very similar living room. You have the opposing floor flush super slides, the all solid surface counters throughout the entire RV, bathroom included. You have the same decors, you know, the same general layout, the same furniture. But again, this one doesn't feel the same. And I don't even know that that translates well to camera. All I know is that when you get in this thing in person, it's a difference that you can see and feel immediately. As you can see, that power televator right there, just a straight no neck wrecker entertainment center. That's on the corner of Boardwalk and Park Place. The thing that we call a fireplace, it's an electric space heater. You know, I've heard someone say, I don't need a fireplace. I'm not bringing wood into my camper. That's not what this is. You can turn it on for just visuals like I've done right now. You can also turn it on full-blown heat mode. Now, keep in mind, those things pump out a good amount of heat, and they will definitely help you stay more comfortable in this thing in those shoulder seasons. They're very nice, but keep in mind, they also provide no benefit to your underbelly and things like that. So if your furnace isn't running, you're not force air heating your furnace. Now, this RV does have holding tank heat pads, which helps. But if you run that fireplace really hard and turn off your furnace because your thermostat's in the cabin, you can accidentally shoot yourself in the foot. So just be a little bit aware of that. Now, you saw in our flyby footage, you have a trifold sleeper sofa. You've got that floating ottoman over here. You could use it in the dining area if you want to. You could get rid of it. It has storage. It has a little flip top. You've also got these really nice side stands on both sides of the sofa. Brinkley's been doing this since pretty much day one, where you've got the location of the power outlets, for me, by the way, is flawless. You have household and USB plugs in there, but you also have these Gastra Easy Lift self-supporting little side stands with the bonus storage. They have magnet hold. Everything in this has magnet holdbacks. Brinkley wasn't the first one to do that, but a lot of people are doing it as a result of Brinkley doing it. There's no question there. They were an early adopter of the 18,000 BTU Furrion Chill Cube Airs. I'm personally a believer in this thing, just in the experience that I have in going through a lot of different RVs. RV air conditioning technology hasn't updated much in like 30 years, and that's one of the first steps forward that we've seen in a long time. One of the biggest differences is it's a variable output compressor. So most RV air conditioners, once they reach your desired temperature, they just shut off totally, and then the RV starts warming up, and your temperature inside kind of spikes, You don't have that here. Kind of like if you set a car to auto mode, yeah, the air might rip-roar right away when it's hot in the car, like if you've been inside shopping for a while, but then it will die down and calm down and go back into a sort of maintenance mode, and that's what this will do. Now, again, you saw in our flyby footage that this sucker right here can only do just about everything. And just as long as we're on that topic right here, they call this the Dynesk, and I like that it does only about everything, where it can be, a more of an independent couples arrangement. You can make it a full, like, 4-person dining arrangement. You can make it a double desk if you want to. It can only do just about everything. I know I've said that about 10 times, but that's how it do, basically. Now, real quick note, just to teach you how to fish, the windows that open for airflow will, of course, have the bug screen. That's hard to see in person, but they'll also have a day shade. The windows that are for viewing only have neither the screen, because they don't open, nor do they have the day shade. They do still have a blackout night shade, and that blackout shade does have a radiant backer on it to help keep you a little more protected from the sunshiny weather. Now, your door over here obviously has a privacy shade integrated. You've got that kind of like bar on the screen door handle to make closing everything easier, and the little screen defender down there. So like if you have a little toddler bobbling about, or a dog that wants to scratch at the door to go outside to do what dogs do, it's kind of easy to, keep it protected that way. You don't have to go after it. That's kind of the thing. There's a lot of stuff in these Brinkley RVs. When they first came out, what a lot of people said is, there's 100 things on this RV that I would have gone aftermarket and put on my own RV anyway. And Brinkley just does it from the factory. And that's kind of the idea behind a lot of what Brinkley does. Yeah, they're a little bit more on the frontal price tag, but if you look at the total cost of ownership, it might not be much different compared to some other higher end products where you might need to go adding odds and ends to them. Diving through the kitchen here, you might notice how you don't see any sort of floor vents. You've got a steel reinforced base on that island that's actually where your heat ducting will be in your living room. I like the indirect lighting down there because I like to sneak down at night and snack on some leftovers. And my wife's like, let me guess, you ate the last of the, I don't know, corn dogs. I don't know if you've noticed my body type. I'm not proud of this. I need to do something about this, but I basically eat every day. Like the county fair is on. Like, yes, dino nuggets. I've been healthier in the past. It's choices. No one makes me eat the McChicken sandwiches. That's just choices. Anyway, this kitchen, I basically have no notes. Power outlets, exactly where I want them. All solid surface counter space. It's well lit. That's one of those things that I'm often looking for. I get very frustrated with RVs that have like dark kitchen spaces when I'm doing kitchen prep work. Well, let's be real. When I'm doing kitchen prep work, it's hot pockets. When my wife is doing kitchen prep work because she doesn't want us to get food poisoning, it's nice when it's well lit so she can see what she's doing. Now, before I forget, if you do have a four-legged puppy cat, or three-legged, depending, there's a magnetic mount removable little pet station right there. And if you don't have the pets, you just don't deploy it, you leave it, but it's included with the RV, which is kind of nice. Since day one, Brinkley's been doing this, and I hope they never quit, where they have the kind of just utility drawer with the removable paper towel kind of spindle right here. By the way, these have a secondary benefit. Like, you ever have a guest over and you're kind enough to cook for them from your own supplies, and they're just kind of like, I didn't really like that. What you can do is you can take this spindle and shove it up their, and I've found they either never come back, so you never waste food again, or they learn to appreciate, and not look a gift horse in the mouth. Soft close all the way through. You might notice the dovetailed drawer construction. That's something the G's have always done, but the Z's did not originally do. They've been doing it since, like, almost all the Z's ever produced have the dovetailed drawer construction like a Model G, but some of the very, very early ones did not. So down here, obviously just big wide open cavity. I know it's not like the most amazing camera shot ever, but sometimes these tighter spaces when we're looking at storage get a little bit tricky. But if you appreciate how I actually take the time to go through and open all this up, leave me a little note that says, hey, thanks, nerd. Appreciate that. And just to kind of give you another look at a bunch of the storage space and capacity here. Moving up front, I'm kicking the magnetic mount dog dish, which didn't really go anywhere because it's magnetically mounted. That pantry, all the shelving is adjustable and removable. You might notice there is a little outlet in there in case you want to add some appliances. But there's also some countertop level household and USB plugs next to that little mini traveler's Keurig. What's nice about that is if you want to make that a coffee station, cool. If you want to make it like a phone charging station or anything like that, you can do all of that too. It's just, there's no real like downside to it. It becomes whatever you need it. And another difference between this and its slightly little brother, the 3100 Brinkley, is that with the taller profile in the living room, the taller ceiling, they're able to go a little bit taller slide outs. It's not just same. So you're going to get some extra little pockets of space, a few extra inches that might make all the difference depending on, what you are racking, packing, and stacking. Now, real quick, special note for you. This RV, when the doors close, you see that little hole with a screw right there? That's where a little traveling lock goes. But when you get to your destination, sometimes they kind of get lost. So Brinkley actually includes a little spot right here for it with its own little magnet mount. Now, a little idea that a viewer had put in that I would love to see Brinkley adopt is put the magnet under this shelf right here. And now it's just even more out of the way, but still equally accessible. I think a little detail like that would be a really, really handy feature. That's just my personal 2 cents though. This is pocket screwed lumber core cabinetry. So we work our way down here. They just really maximize the efficiency of everything they're doing. This I love. I have a general preference where if storage is at my waist or lower, especially at my knees or lower, I like it when the storage slides open to me so that I don't have to get on my hands and knees in a tight kitchen space to dig inside a kitchen cabinet where I can't reach the back of it because it's in that slide out. So they make it come to you. And since day one, the first time I ever looked at the first Brinkley Model Z fifth wheel, I looked at this and said, holy cow. I swear this was made for people like my parents and mine. My parents are still pretty capable. They can still get around pretty well. But you know what? They got a couple aftermarket parts now, whether it's, hips or knees or something like that. They've had some work done. Not in the way that the Kardashians have, but they've had some work done. This RV is just far more friendly to the folks who maybe have a couple miles on their frame, but they still have a couple good miles to go. Does that make sense? That's just how it kind of strikes me. Real quick note, by the way, the theater seat over here, I would still personally prefer it if the center console flipped up to be a little more cuddle compliant. There is, of course, the baked bean bucket where you can always have a spoonful of baked beans nearby. They put some USB plugs in there. That's weird, I think. But anyway, you've got a wireless phone charge pad here, but you don't have cup holders. Brinkley makes a wooden insert that you can get from Brinkley's little online store. Slots in that tighter than crap so it doesn't fall out, and it'll give you a double drink holder. So that is something that you do have available. So kind of keep that detail in mind. And as I catch myself moonwalking up the stairs here, I want to go ahead and direct your attention toward like the slide fascia and the upper corner where the wall meets the ceiling. And I want to point out that you see essentially nothing. It's just, you just see the fascia. What you don't see is that like machine gun stapler drive-by of fasteners. You have to look very, very hard to see an exposed mechanical fastener in one of these Brinkley RVs. There's a couple, but man, you got to know where to look unless you start opening cabinets and looking at the back of the hinges and cheating. Another thing I really like about this model, because it's a little bit longer, they had a little bit more space and they could actually give us like a coat closet right by the door. I have a personal pet peeve for very large, expensive fifth wheels where I can't hang a jacket by the door. It's not a major thing. It's just everybody has their personal little things. Like, you know, in some marriages, you're like, do you squeeze the toothpaste from the right side or the wrong side? And like, you can deal with that. You can love them through their flaws because obviously they squeeze the toothpaste from the wrong side of the tube. And that's not the thing that determines whether, you know, a marriage, well, at least mine, is or is not successful. I'm thankful I met a woman who squeezes the toothpaste from the correct side of the tube. Which side is that? Well, it's the one that's not wrong. Now, this bathroom, when I first saw it on paper, I went, I have no use for two sinks. Stop it, guys. And then I got here and I see that they included a flush mount solid surface cover to basically, if I want the double sink, I have it. And if I don't, what you get as a result is expanded counter space and a vastly larger bathroom. This bathroom is something like 43% larger than the similar bathroom, the similar Model Z 3100, but it has all the same widgets and whiz bangs. Like we've got the, you notice they don't do any of the small fans. It's only the rain sensing Fajita Friday fume fighters all the way through. They've got that magnet mount butt napkin roller right there where you can move that wherever you want to, because some people have different preferences on where they want to put these things. If you look on the left side of the screen, you see that especially if you slide the shower door out of the way, you have some awesome space in that shower over there, which, by the way, is a one-piece fiberglass molded shower, which is the same thing they do all the way down even in their Model I travel trailers, which I think is cool. But here in this Model Z, the headroom is outstanding. 79.5-inch upper deck clearance. It's one of the best that you can find in an RV even remotely like this. There's a couple that are a little bit taller in the upper deck, but not many. And because they're extra tall, they were able to eliminate the skylight. So you don't have a giant hole cut in the roof, and they include some of that outdoor fusion lighting, that beam light up there, so that you can actually see what you're doing in here and have a place to put your body washes and your soaps and stuff. It was, my daughter asked me the other day, she goes, hey, now that you have officially no hair, do you even use shampoo or do you just like scrub your entire body with body wash? And I love that question. That's such a, like one of those kids say the darndest things questions. Just curiosity, innocent, you know? But remember that coat closet in the hallway? It means that this linen storage here, I think, has the ideal depth and function. It's still a serious amount of storage, but it's not so deep that you can't reach the back of it. And once again, just like the kitchen, instead of getting on your hands and knees to get to stuff, they bring the storage to you, which I really love and appreciate. Now, I'm actually, I think, going to just slide my backside over here into the shower. Uh-oh, my belt loops are hung up on something. There we go. I cannot tell you, folks, how many sets of pants I have ruined because, various cabinet door handles have caught my belt loops and ripped my shorts and stuff. That's a fun day at the office. But you notice theirs won't do that, which also means, by extension, they're a little more like dog collar friendly, which is more of a big deal, obviously, in the kitchen living room area. Now, again, you've got that solid surface counter cover on the left. They ship it with one. If you wanted a second one, again, that's probably a loose object that we could get for you through one of their parts teams. So that is something that's available. Apparently that housefly is included at no additional cost who's cruising around. And by the way, both of these are medicine cabinets. It's kind of black on black, so the shelves are a little bit difficult to discern sometimes. But you do have, basically, they build their medicine cabinets into the hollow space of the wall just to maximize the efficiency. Now, quick note, in the living room, the Furrion 18K Chill Cube Air services only the living room. You might notice you have some central air ducts up here in the bathroom. The upstairs air conditioner, which is forced standard, services only the two small rooms in the upper deck. So biggest air conditioner services biggest room, smaller air the two small rooms. Kind of makes sense. By the way, you have dimmer lighting in your main cabin and here in the bedroom, just so that you know. Working our way around, this is a very familiar bedroom arrangement if you've seen a lot of your Brinkleys, or at least it seems that way on the surface. This is another one of those little details I didn't realize by looking at the floor plan print until I saw this RV. Like, I'm a professional looker-atter of campers. I'm not flawless at this, but I'm pretty good at looking at a floor plan print and going, okay, I know the floor plan. I got in this and I went, whoa, what's going on? You have a king bed in here with side stands. Wow! Normally, bed slides aren't big enough to do that, and I realize that's part of the extra length of this RV. They extended the bedroom space. They made it a bigger bedroom. I like the little pocket. I just like how nothing's wasted. And you do have power outlets down here, by the way, and over here, and motion lighting down below. And then you have this little, I don't know, bookshelf wall, whatever you want to call it. And you've got 4 of these handy little flip down magnet closed coat hangers. So they're there if you need them, gone if you don't. And you have that same 79.5-inch upper deck clearance in here. And if you go with the 60 by 80 queen bed, those side stands double in size and can actually be like CPAP friendly, which bed slide fifth wheels almost never are. Now, the bed base itself is always queen sized. Even if you go with the king bed like you're looking at here, you see that plywood decking that sticks off the side so the bed doesn't slump and you fall off the bed. That's that you just trim that down, you throw a queen bed on it, and you're good. Now, if you do a queen bed after the fact, you're not going to magically get double-sized side stands. You'll have to kind of figure something out there. Now, this is prepped and ready for combo or stackable washer dryer, whichever you kind of prefer to go with, if any. And some people have asked, these are supposed to be luxury fifth wheels. Where's their central vacuum system? Brinkley likes to kind of prep for a stick vac, like a cordless vacuum. And they give you a little sticker over there telling you where that is. I also really think I guarantee there's a story behind it. That sticker says use 1-inch screws only so that you don't run a screw through the sidewall, which I have seen on more than one occasion. I've seen people do things like mount a TV against an RV's sidewall, and they use like 4-inch lag screws and literally busted a screw through the exterior wall. You might laugh, you might shake your head, but that's a real thing that has happened. So I guarantee you there's a reason they put that sticker there. The dresser space here, you can see the, what's a septuplet? Is that the word for 7 7 drawers? I don't know. I could have just said 7 drawers. I don't know why I tried to get fancy about it as a non-fancy person. Oops. Yeah, I don't know why that's broke. That was that way when I found it. Anyway, this dresser top slides open. Brinkley Z's have done that pretty much since the start. That we can get you from Brinkley. There's this little plank that you can install in there where when the drawers are closed, that could be basically like another desk station. So depending on your household and your usage and your needs, you could almost have a double to triple desk station in this sucker. Now, I haven't seen this one with the slides closed till just now. Cool thing that Brinkley does, they as a company say, yeah, as long as you're not, being a little too aggressive on the bed while it's retracted, you can still use the bed while the slide is closed. Not every fifth wheel will allow you to do that. There are a bunch of fifth wheels that I suspect are capable, but the factories who build them, the lawyers haven't actually said, yeah, sure, that's fine. That's one of the nice things I like about companies like Brinkley, because they're not part of like the big consolidator groups. There's nothing inherently wrong, say with Forest River, with Thor, with any of those. Like obviously Bish's RV carries lots of their products, but they have lawyers who shape a lot more of their policy. With Brinkley, they're an independently owned company, and the founders actually go camping. So if they say, yes, it's fine, well, then it's fine. That's kind of one of the cool things here. The fridge, you can't get to the freezer portion. You can get to the fridge on the right-hand side, though, which is about what I expected. But I think for critical travel function, we have the big three. We have bathroom, bedroom, and refrigerator. And if you appreciate how we show you the storage, close the slides, the road mode, all that stuff, hit that subscribe button, and we're going to keep on doing it for you. And if you watch my, what's happening with Brinkley 2026 update, one of the things that has just been introduced that people have been asking for since day one on Model Zs is they are now offering a premium exterior and paint package option. So what this means is it's just like the Model Gs, where even the quality of the fiberglass upgrades. It becomes a tabled fiberglass where it's a higher grade product. It's thicker. It is it ships flat. It's made flat. It doesn't come on a roll. It's not a rolled fiberglass product, FRP, fiberglass rolled product. Sorry. Anyway, but also, you have several different exterior paint options on these now. And I'm telling you, when the thing's brand new, yeah, it looks really awesome. When the RV's like 10 years old, 15 years old, it still looks really awesome. It's a bit of money, but man, if you're looking to be one and done and you want this thing just to continue to turn heads long term, that's a thing to consider. Okay, so real quick, if we talk towing, you're pretty much going to need the same vehicle here that you need for most of the Model Zs, and there's a lot to cover on this, so I don't want to belabor this point too much, but I would say that there are, in theory, some really heavy-duty 3/4 tons that if you were going to do some more modest flatland towing would be okay. I don't know. If you're going to go cross-country, I don't know that you're going to regret something in the way of a 1-ton here, but it's very situational. So contact our team and we can break that all down in a way that makes it easier to digest for you. They've always kind of been here, but I like how the little gold accents are starting to become a little more prevalent. There's just a class to it. And if I'm not mistaken, they may have color keyed that to an actual Porsche gold. My guess is just to really drive home that sort of upscale feel. Along with that, this was one of the first fifth wheels to adopt things like the Kurt Helix pin box system and the Touring Coil spring suspension, which is kind of basically a version of this, but down by your tires. And those two things, especially combined, our powers combined, like Captain Planet, they remove massive percentages of road stress and violence getting expressed throughout the RV so that, basically the thing stays out of the shop more reliably. Now, you've got a couple different battery disconnects on this so that, if the RV's in storage or if you're towing or if you're using it, you can have the proper power situations going on. Contact our team if you'd like a little more details on that. The blue box right there, that is a Victron 50 amp MPPT charge controller. And I want to stress all those words because, first of all, Victron is generally considered about the gold standard for most solar applications. MPPT is a superior type of charge controller as compared to PWM. It's not the less expensive. And the 50 amp means that if you want to add on to the standard 370 watt solar package up there, you can do so to a degree. Now, if you want to go full solar roof, you're going to need to do some work. We can do that kind of stuff for you too at Bish's, by the way. So your slide systems. Upper deck is the slim rack system. And Brinkley wasn't the first to ever use that, but they were the first to kind of do it a lot. And no one had really heard of it before. And one of the benefits of that is that Brinkley says, yeah, you need to get in the bed slide to sleep in transit when it's closed up. Like, we're making this for real world application. You can absolutely do that. Your other two slides will be rack and pinion as well. Now, working our way around here, you've got your 60,000 BTU on-demand water heater. I don't know that I've ever opened one up. I don't know that you're going to glean any additional information from this. I just thought it might be interesting to see. Working our way down below here, we will, I'll tell you what, we'll go ahead and talk about this. We've got our Cooper H-rated radial tires, and it's interesting. You're seeing a lot of builders adopt those tires right now because the service records on them are near flawless. I mean, there's always the chance of catching some debris on the road, but in terms of just flat tire failure, there's almost nothing there to report. They also have an integrated TPMS system. The suspension package here, the touring coil suspension package, is about as good as it gets until you spend crazy money on a full independent suspension. When I say crazy, I mean it could be upwards of $15,000 to $20,000, and this is very close to how it performs in a lot of ways. IS is absolutely superior, but man, for the cost, that touring coil system is great. You've got a full link Stinky Slinky handy helper tube right here, so you can put some bigger hoses in, and this floor plan does benefit from a single point sewer outlet. This is not a poop hydra. It also has electronic dump gate valves, so you don't even have to crawl on the ground. Like, if you camp like me, I'm a park pavement princess. If I like to camp with on-site sewer and full hookups and everything. So it's not camp. If you want to say, it's not camping. Okay, it's RVing, it's glamping, fine. I'm not going to argue that point. You're not wrong. It's not camping. I'm not in a tent. But you don't even have to crawl on the ground. You've got your black and gray dump gate valves, which you see the black and gray switches. Guess what those do in that upper right corner in there? There is a manual override, by the way, just in the event that, I don't know, you don't have power or anything like that. Now, this is just a quick little indicator. First of all, I love that they actually include the 90-degree elbow bend brass fittings here. But again, brass. They're not required to use brass fittings. And when you get behind the docking center, what you're going to see in here is nonstop brass fittings. They don't use any flex hoses crimped to PEX lines. Now you see how I'm holding this freshwater retractable hose right here. I can't pull out very much of it because if I'm not mistaken, there's something like 45 foot of it in the RV. So your freshwater line, you have 45 foot of fresh line built into the RV, which is occupying less storage space, which, when you consider this floor plan has that expanded upper deck, it has an absolutely ridiculous amount of outside storage. And if you look a little bit closer at the top there, you might see an actual heat dump, basically a vent. That's the word I'm looking for. And that's the upper deck heat plenum. That's where the heating runs. That's a very efficient heating system to get everything delivered to your upper deck. So even this basement cavity is climate controlled. Now, there's actually a little access point back there. Yeah, you got to kind of crawl into the belly because it's so big, but they make some easy access points to get to some of your systemic kind of things. And if you look up here, you'll notice how every water line to each fixture has its own individual cutoff valve. Again, that's stuff they're not required to do. It's just stuff they like to do. You might notice, though, it's not a drop frame. Drop frames are cool. They can create some geometric stress nightmares. So they don't do that. They go with just a solid, reliable straight frame, but then they give you two of these belly-mounted storage boxes. You have one on this side, one on the other. So as you're seeing right there, if you want room for nice picnic table, like folding picnic tables or chairs or anything like that, you have awesome opportunities to bring that with you. I very rarely remember to kind of open the propane compartments. I don't know that you learn much from it, but just so you know, you have one of those on each side of the RV. With this floor plan, though, because they had some extra upper deck space, they said, you know, we have this little pocket right here. Let's do stuff with it. And this is kind of where they put a bunch of their hookups and controls. They put some extra power outlets in here. This is something right here that's a little bit unique to this floor plan. And that's kind of a cool Brinkley doing Brinkley things sort of thing, where they are absolutely willing to tune each floor plan in a way that makes it maximally functional. Like, they don't tend to waste anything. Like the storage under the sofa that you'll see on the back of the RV is a good example of that. Anywhere they can, they will. They just add extra stuff. And a lot of builders say, nah, we do things one way, and if it doesn't fit the floor plan, then I guess it's not maximized in efficiency. And Brinkley tries to really tune each model so that you're getting 100% of the juice from the squeeze. By the way, you have a gas grill quick connect down here below the skirt line, which you might notice is very easy to see because of a couple things down here. They have, under-mounted kind of skirting lighting, which is, one, just nice for being able to enjoy your campsite without really like cheesing off the neighbors, But you also might notice down there the underskirt mounted outside speakers. And I love that because it kind of fills your campsite with sound instead of blowing the neighbors away with speakers that are mounted 10 feet up in the air. But at the same time, they're not running wiring through walls. They're not drilling 6-inch holes in a laminated sidewall asking for opportunities for water intrusion, which is a very salesy way of saying leaks. Nobody wants to deal with that. So they're working to avoid that. Just like the inside, you have to look really hard to see an exposed fastener on a Brinkley. Like if you come right up here along the metal skirt line where it meets the fiberglass, you just don't see anything. It's all done from the backside. Like there's a couple spots like right over here where they, where the slide wall meets the slide floor. There's a couple fasteners there, and that's kind of just unavoidable. But for the most part, it's a very clean look on the outside. Now, your ladder back here is rated for about 20% more than the industry requires. I think it's a 300-pound rated ladder. I personally really like this system of ladder because the shape of it organically makes it very, very conducive to like drying towels. And then just little stuff like this, the roof to ladder transition grab right there. Sometimes it's just little details like that make all the difference. As a person who's climbed up and down a lot of RV roofing, I know I certainly appreciate it. Quick look there at the 370-watt solar panel. You can, if you wanted to, put a second one of those like right over here, something like that, or come up with a total DIY solution, depending on what you're looking for here. As we go around this on the roof, it looks very similar to a lot of other things. I really encourage you to go through and watch my Brinkley Model Z factory tour, because you'll see a couple things, like it just looks like normal RV seals. They're using a totally different grade of sealant, and they have a full gasket system, basically. So there's multiple methods of water intrusion prevention, of leak prevention, and each one of those individually is already superior to what the industry standard uses. So they're doing more up here to keep the water out of this thing. And you might notice that's also a low profile bedroom air. Now, coming back down from the roof, one of the first things I want to direct you to is the rear view camera. I kind of forget to talk about that. That's one of those things you could spend a couple $100 aftermarket and put it on almost any RV. But it's standard on your Model Zs, even on their trailers, if I'm not mistaken. It's another safety thing. It's another security thing that they include. And when it's done from the factory, it costs less in the exchange and the total wash because you're not also paying dealer labor. The people building the RV are already right there. It doesn't really cost a lot to slap it on other than the cost of the part. And now it's covered by factory warranty. I like peace of mind assurances like that. So this is what I lovingly refer to. It's RV Nerdism number 37. The junk in the trunk storage system. This just exists under the sofa. Every manufacturer has the opportunity to do this. Very few of them do. It's very hard to see, but you can see there is a set of power outlets in here as well. So like if you want to bring like, I don't know, a little air compressor to fill up some kids' pool toys so you don't get lightheaded, blowing them up by, you know, the manual method. Anyone else ever do that on a family vacation? All you're wanting to do is sit down in a chair, get a little umbrella drink, and just relax while the kids exhaust themselves in the pool. And instead, you're sitting here going, and then, like, you never really get to just enjoy the time. Because after the thing's inflated, you just got to yell at the kids, be like, hey, stop touching. So thanks again for tuning in, everybody. I will drop you a bunch of links in the video description. The first one will take you to our website where you can get an idea of MSRP and availability. Keep in mind, when I'm releasing this footage, I don't know how many of these are shipped out there yet. So it might take our website a little bit of time as these things get built and come into our stores. But also keep in mind, we don't sell for MSRP. We're just not allowed to advertise for anything less than that. So please remember, we don't do hidden fees. We winterize your RV for you every single year at no charge, and a bunch of other things that you get as a benefit of just being a Bish's RV customer. We do that, by the way, whether you buy new or used. It's not just the fancy Brinkleys. But I'll also leave you a bunch of links to say, like, all the other Model Zs that I've done if you want to learn a little bit more about them. But keep in mind, all the little updates, like the cosmetic things, the little features like the dovetail drawers, if you go back through those previous videos, some of those things might not be there. This is the most recent build. Brinkley has a common progression, so all the other Model Zs will fall in line with the features that you're seeing here, even if my previous videos don't reflect that. And I know this was long, strong, and down to get the camping on, but thank you everybody for hanging on today. And if you appreciate what we're doing, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time. So take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.